Oh, I got to get my mug. Give me one sec.
Behind me.
All right. What Ole is this for us? Is this our third, our fourth
This is
Ole?
this is actually our fourth Olay. And
Fourth Ole.
yep, and today we're taking on travel.
Exciting, exciting. And can you remind me what our previous Oles have been about?
So we actually started with wellness, and we did two of those because wellness is such a big issue. And not only is it a big issue, but if you are not well, nothing else functions. So we took on wellness first from the breathing techniques and what you could do to just calm yourself down and to keep yourself centered. And then in the second one, we actually just looked at different activities that you could take on and different things that you could do to stay healthy. And
That's
then,
awesome.
yeah, and then our last month's one was actually on finances. And we looked at where everybody is and financial literacy, which we may not remember this, but last month was actually Financial Literacy
Yes.
Month. So it
Yeah.
was a perfect time for us to take that on. And we hope that all of you have started to make yourself a little bit more financially aware.
That's awesome. And that's so consistent to Why Worry World and the mission of Why Worry World, which is to empower people to reduce and eliminate worry and stress by actively using proven practices and resources. And Ricky, you are one of the founders of Why Worry World. And I'm just excited every time I just read that mission that you're trying to empower people to reduce and eliminate worry and stress, which we know is such a huge sort of has a huge impact on our health and our wellness, especially given all of these things that are taking place. So you just mentioned four different Olays, online experiences that there's just chock full of information. Those all can be found online, right? Is that where we can find those if we missed those previous Olays?
Yes, so right now you can find them on our website at www.whyworryworld.com. And you could also find them at our YouTube channel, which is, I guess, also whyworryworld.com. Not really sure how YouTube works, but we do have a channel there, and you can find all of these um, located there when you have some time to watch them.
Yes. And as Ricky mentioned, check out our website. That gives you access to everything that you need, all of our previous OLEs, as well as resources and material that is communicated through those OLEs. So we're excited to jump into safety. And safety is
Oh,
one
wait,
of
today
the 10.
we're actually doing travel today. You're skipping the gun. Or next month, we're going to be taking on safety. But for this month, we're going to talk about travel and all the issues that come and worries that come along with travel.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you. I'm already ahead of the game and excited about all of the things that are the top 10 worries that we researched that people are worried about. And so, to be consistent with our mission to reduce worry and stress, we're tackling all of the top 10 things people worry about in these OLAs. And so we really intend on sharing our A.R.E method. And Ricky, share a little bit about what this A.R.E method is, what it means, what the A, the R, and the E mean, and how we can look at the A.R.E method to help us reduce worry and stress, in particular as it relates to today's topic.
Great, Abdul. So first, yes, so we have this method. It's called the A.R.E method to worrying less and enjoying life more. The A stands for acknowledge. We always want to acknowledge, what are we worried about, right? And then once we look to see what are we worried about, we start to reflect. That is the R. Reflect on, well, why are we worried about this? And when you start to look at your why are we worried? We get to see what's important to us. And then once you get to see what's important to you in your reflection process, you can actually start to engage with the worry. You engage with what it is that you want to have. You start to visualize what it is that you want instead of looking from what you're worried about, right? We look to see, why are we worried? Why is that important to us? And once we find out the why, then it's very, very easy to navigate. And in this particular O.L.E, what I have noticed in and around travel is that the why is actually the thing that pulls us forth for where we're going to go, what we're going to do, who we're going to see, who we're going to travel with, what kind of clothes are we going to take, right? All of that, believe it or not, stems from our why. Why is it that you want to travel? And so today we're going to really look at the why a lot, even though the why is just the starting place, the acknowledgement part. And then we'll show you through some concrete examples how the A.R.E method will work from beginning to end with each and every one of the concerns that comes up inside of in today's O.L.E travel.
That's awesome. That really sounds like you guys have really taken time to do the research and come up with some very practical ways to bring awareness, resources, and examples that we can take away that really tie us to this awareness and this reflection and this engagement that you talk about with this A.R.E method. So I'm excited to hear and learn all about that. And as always, Why Worry World is a place where we can really express any kind of concerns, a place where you can, get unstuck on anything that you may be worried about. And once you think about that, as Ricky mentioned, and you get connected to the why, everything filters through this A.R.E methodology. And this opens you up to what's needed in order to shift that worry into enjoyment. So talk to
And
us a
it's
little bit about your experiences. I know you just recently traveled and there's some things that came up that you'd like to share in the awareness or the why around it for you.
exactly, Abdul. So this timing couldn't have been better because I'm actually coming off of a 14-day, really 17-day trip that I took with my 86-year-old mom. And her desire was to cross the Atlantic. So we did one of these transatlantic crossings on Holland America. And basically what it means is you get on the boat in where we happen to live, Fort Lauderdale, and then it crosses to Europe. And then we actually saw 5 countries at the end of the trip before flying home. So it was a real whirlwind of a trip. And like I said, I had my 87-year-old mom. So inside of getting ready for the trip, I really had to rely on and utilize the A.R.E method a lot, right? So first of all, remember, she's 86 years old. She has mobility issues. She has pain everywhere. She can't really keep up. Even when we were younger and we used to travel together, when she was in her 60s, we were always at the end of the tour, right? So we would take a tour and then we'd be at the end, and I would always be so concerned and worried. And oh my God, what are they saying? They're always worried. They're always waiting for us. And that doesn't make the trip very enjoyable. So this time I said, okay, let's look at all the different pieces that I actually worry about. And let's take them one piece at a time and start to break them down. And that's pretty much just what I did, starting from the moment that I had to pack, right? Because, oh, they have some formal nights, but oh, today people don't really get dressed up. What is my mom going to be able to wear? She has a big problem with her shoes, right? So we really needed to look at what is it that we need to do? What is it that we need to have with us, right? So we could start to look. But remember when I said that my why am I traveling? That's the place that you first have to really look. So for me, in this particular instance, my why is to make my mom happy. That's my why. Now, you might have a different why, right? You might want to go and see many, many countries. Maybe you've never been out of America. Maybe you want to go and visit other countries. Maybe you want to go see the national parks. Maybe you want to visit your family. Maybe you want to go away with friends and have just a relaxing girls' trip, right? You have to first start with the why. Why do you want to go away? Why is that important? Once you choose your why, then the next step actually has you look at, well, what kind of vacation could you take? So in this instance, my mom being 86 and really having mobility issues, my feeling was the best thing for her was to do a cruise. And she always dreamed of doing this kind of a cruise. So what better gift can I give my mom when her dream is to do this and my dream, my why is to make her happy. So we booked the trip and I actually gave her a lot of the responsibilities of things to figure out, right? Because now, once we acknowledged, oh, we're going to take this trip, I'm acknowledging my why. I want to make my mom happy. Well, now I have to start to reflect. How am I going to make my mom happy? Well, one way is to actually have her look at what's available on the ship, what's available for tours, what's available for dinner, for eating out, what's available for the socialization part, right? There's so much that goes into a cruise, especially a cruise of 14 days. So in my reflection piece of what is it that I need to put in place, right? Because now I have my why. I want to make my mom happy. Now I have to reflect. How am I going to do that? How can I make my mom happy? And I start to reflect on all of the pieces of the trip. And then I actually gave her some jobs, right? Okay, mom, reach out to the travel insurance, the travel agency and find out about insurance, right? That's a very, very big issue when you're traveling. Do you need to take out insurance, right? All of these worries, they're all little things that add up to one big, I don't know what, like a big worry, right? So here's my trip. I'm going on my trip. And then there's all these little things that have to get taken care of. And inside of looking at these little things, one piece at a time, can you see how you'd really might be worried? But when you start to break them down and you say, okay, let's just take them one piece at a time. The first piece being insurance. So you see, many years ago, I've been actually traveling with my mom for almost 30 years. In 1997, I said, I want to start traveling with my mom, right? We're not going to have, how much time are we going to have together? I don't know. And again, remember, my why, make my mom happy. So we started traveling together. Well, about maybe 10 years, 12 years into traveling together, guess what happened? We couldn't take a trip. Now, we were young. We didn't think we needed insurance. But guess what? We needed insurance. So for that particular trip, we lost out on the financial upside, whatever we had put out front, right? But from that time, we said, okay, we are not going to have this happen again. We're going to make sure we take out travel insurance, right? So it's a piece that you might not realize, right? Like there might be some pieces that you don't even know to worry about until they happen. And now they've happened, and now you have a whole new set of worries. So back on that trip where we did have to cancel, I actually was able to get in touch with someone from American Express, and they were actually able to help me, right? Because I didn't just stay in the panic of the minute, the worry of the moment, right? Oh my God, we got to cancel this trip. We're going to lose that money, right? Because can you see how I could have spiraled downward? But I said, no, okay, we can't go. So what do we need to do? We don't have insurance. Let me call American Express. I paid for it on American Express, and they seemed to be helpful. And in this particular instance, they were. They weren't able to get us back all of our money, but they were able to cancel many of the plans that we had had, and they just really worked with me. And truth be told, I don't even really know what they did, but they helped me. Why? Because I reflected, what is it that I need to do? Okay, we need to cancel the trip. We need to try to get some money back. How can I do that? Who can help me? Oh, American Express. I took some action, I engaged, and boom, they helped me and we got some of the money back. But fast forward to now this trip, because now we know, you need to take out health insurance, travel insurance. You need health insurance too, but that's another story for another O.L.E. But in the meantime, I gave my mom those jobs. You call the travel agent, so that she would feel like she was taking part of it and that she had some responsibility and some feeling like this trip was hers as well. So she took on some jobs and I took on some jobs. And then we just waited. What were we waiting for? We were waiting for the cruise to start, right? So we made those reservations many months ago. And now all we had to do was sit back and wait. So here we are. We go on this trip and packing, as I already said. Now here we are in the, I don't know what we call this, 21st century. And at our fingertips is everything you need. Everything. Oh, you need some packing tips? Just go to YouTube. How do you fold a shirt? What's the best way to pack sweaters? How do you get your pants so that they're not wrinkled, right? You can find anything to help with whatever your issues are. So we say, don't worry, just stop the action, go back to your why. Why is this important? And then you can start to reflect on how can you get the information. So for me, I really wanted to pack light and I didn't. But it was okay because I got some information off of the website, off of the internet. And from that, I was able to pack up and had all the right clothes. Did you know that Holland America even has a pickleball field court on their thing? So I said, maybe I'll
Holland
play.
America is the cruise
It's
line
the
that you
cruise
went on,
line that I
right?
took, and they happened to have pickleball, which I took up a few months ago. So I'm like, why not? I'll bring my pickleball outfits, right? But guess what? If I didn't go on the website to Holland America's website to find out what is it that they offer, right? Because that was another concern. What do I need to take with me? So that's my worry. So I acknowledge, I don't know what I need to take. I'm not really sure. I know they have maybe a formal night. They usually have some kind of party, right? But I was able to go on their website, get a list of all the different things that I need. And
So
sorry,
that research that you're talking about that you did, which to me you keep coming back to, is really just this mindset that things are going to come up. There's no need to worry about them. Take a pause, just stop. And that pause is stop. Stop whatever is triggering you to worry or that you feel anxious about inside of travel, because there's a whole bunch of things that could come up. And you gave some very specific examples that relate to you and your mom and your why, but really stopping before and taking that pause, that shifts your mindset, is what I'm hearing. And then that allows you to root your mindset, your action, your behavior into what's important. And so in that pause, that gives you the space to just root into what's important. And once you tap into what's important, that gives you sort of the ability to reflect, right? That's kind of the reflection that's
Mhm.
taking place. And from that reflection and tying into what's important, the why behind it, then you're able to then take action and engage. And that's that constant sort of repetitive methodology or approach that is the A.R.E method. And by adapting that mindset to anything that comes up in travel, you're able to immediately reduce worry, reduce stress, and have some sort of the space to just go ahead and engage and do what's necessary to deal with things.
That's so great, Abdul, right? And if you do notice, everything that I've been speaking about all took place way before I was going on that trip, right? Where did we want to go? What did we want to do? All of that is the prep work, right? If you start to look at what might trip you up, what might get in your way, and you want to start to investigate that, because you investigate that at the beginning and you take care of that at the beginning, you can actually go on your trip and you will already be worrying less and enjoying life more, right? Now, I'm not saying stuff doesn't come up, because stuff does come up. Unfortunately, we got on this trip and my mom, she was having high blood pressure. What are we going to do? We're on the ship. We're out to sea. But I was able to reach out to her doctor at home. I was able to then, we started to reflect. I looked to see, I had to acknowledge, oh, my mom is not well. Now what can I do? Right? But you see, it came up inside of it's a worry that just showed up. It wasn't something that I was expecting. It just showed up. And then once it shows up, you want to, again, like Abdul said, you stop the action. Oh, look, I'm worried. The thought I kept having was, oh my gosh, we're going to have to fly home. Oh my gosh, we shouldn't have gone. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I saw how worried I was. And then I said, oh, wait a minute. Let's take the A.R.E method. Let's stop the action. Let's acknowledge what we're worried about. I'm worried about my mom. I want to make sure she's healthy and can continue on this trip. That was my worry. And then I was able to start to reflect, okay, what do I need to do? What do we need to do? And we reflected. We reached out to the doctor. Then we went down to the doctor on the ship. Guess what? The doctor on the ship wasn't worried at all. So it was perfect. She got my mom handled and situated and calm, and we were able to continue on and have the rest of our trip, right? But remember when I said earlier, you have to really look at your why. So many of you are probably thinking, oh, well, this is great. She went on a cruise with her mom, but she's not really giving me anything that I can do for the traveling that I want to do. Well, here's what you need to know. You want to start to look at your why. Why is it you want to travel? Let's just start there. Ask yourself some very important questions, right? Who do you want to travel with? What do you want to see? What kind of trip is it going to be? Is it going to be a relaxing trip? Is it going to be a filled adventure trip, like one of those trips where you need a vacation from your vacation, right? All of these questions that you have, you want to answer first. You want to just start to acknowledge, oh, I want to travel. Oh, I want to go see places. Oh, I want to do it with my family, or I want to do it with my kids, or I want to do it with my mom, right? You get to say, but you start to acknowledge that, then you can reflect on where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Right? Now, more worries are going to come up. What are you going to need to pack? How long are you going to go for? Right? One of the things that I saw in preparing for this talk was how so many people like to travel to their families at holiday time, right? We hear 7 million, 5 million, they're all traveling at holiday time. Well, you have to know that the holiday time is probably the most expensive time to fly, right? So maybe you want to do some investigation and you want to find out, well, what days before the holiday would be the best to fly out? What days after the holiday would be the best to fly out? Can I take some extended time from work so that I don't have to fly on the busiest day of the year, right?
Well, I
All
would
of these.
I just want to jump in there, and I'm just playing the advocate for those who are like, okay, Ricky, I got it. You're just telling me do a lot of work on Google. Are there and and instead of doing all the work on Google, I tuned in to tap into your O.L.E. Are there any places that you've already, because clearly you've done the research, do you have any like places that you want to rattle off that would help so that I won't have to spend so much time Googling places that you recommend me go to, etc., that would help support any of these things that you just mentioned? I would be worried about.
So that's really great, Abdul. There are so many companies out there and so many different things. The first one I would use is TripAdvisor, because TripAdvisor can tell you everything you need to know about your city that you're going to, right? So once you choose where you're going, I would just zoom right on to TripAdvisor. But let's just talk about that travel thing, right? Did you know that there is a website called Seat Guru? It's seatguru.com. You can go to that website and you can actually investigate which is the best seat to choose on the plane that you're going to be flying on. Like, who knew that that was out there, right? Then you want to get the best flight. So there's a Google Google Flights, Kayak. I there's so many. I use Kayak and I use Google Flights. And one of the things that I do is try to compare. And one of the things that I found, which I'm sure you're going to find too, is that once you start looking for a flight, that flight price is the price that gets locked in. And it doesn't matter what day you choose, what day when you're changing your flight, all of a sudden, I'm going to say Google, they know that that's the flight you're looking to take and they lock you into that price. So one of the things that I learned to do was to empty, I'm not really technical. I'm going to call it my cache, my CACHE, right? You empty that before, like once you decide, oh yes, this is the flight I'm going to take, this is when I'm going to go, you empty your cache and then all of a sudden you can get the better flight. Or you can just write to Kayak and say, hey, track this flight. And when the price drops down, send me an email and you can buy it at a lesser price. There's many, many, many tricks out there. But again, you need to come from what you want to acknowledge, right? So like for me, when I travel, time of the flight is the most important. That's what, is very, very important to me. If I'm traveling with my mom and I need to have a layover, I need to make sure it's a 2-hour layover, right? So I have to look for these things and I can't really necessarily focus on price. However, some of us, price is what's important. So if price is what's important, then you want to find, well, when is the best time to travel, which happens to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday instead of on the weekend. You travel Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the prices are going to be less. All of these things, as you start to investigate, you're going to find out for yourself. And like I said earlier, what's so great is that everything is out there on the internet. And it used to be you have to call a travel agent and they would have to look up all the flights, or American Express and they would have to look up all the flights and then get back to you. And it was very, very cumbersome. But today with the internet, travel has never been easier. Don't even
So
know who you want to travel with? Guess what? There's groups out there that you can look up, traveling with women, traveling to meditate, traveling to see the sights of America. There are so many different travel groups out there, and there's one for everybody. But you want to be looking for yourself. Why do you want to travel?
I love it. And so you talked a lot about travel and the resources obviously that are there and available through Google. You threw out some really cool sites. And one of the things that you mentioned early on is that worry is really rooted in things that haven't happened yet. And so it came up as a theme as you were sharing the things that you were worried about with your mom. What if this happens? What if that? And then now she's sick. Oh my God. And that really is a core concept that I don't want to walk away from, because you gave the resources. But prior to that, again, it's this, you know, really focusing on the fact that worry is our natural ability, or desire, I should say, tendency to put our thoughts on things that haven't happened yet. And when we get that, oh, that worry comes from things that haven't happened yet, typically it has us at a lower frequency, right? It's
Mhm.
like disempowering. You feel a certain way, it scares you, it doesn't have you thinking in a way that allows you to problem solve. And
Correct.
it gets you triggered to fear, typically, because that thing that you're worried about usually is something that frightens you and scares you. And so we always root everything in the science behind the methodologies that are being shared. And so what's happening scientifically is that that pause allows us to take ownership that that worry is triggering a fear. And when our minds are in a fear state, we're accessing more of our amygdala, which is pulling resources in our brain away from our prefrontal cortex, which is where we actually have the ability to problem solve and reflect and take action, right? And
Correct.
so part of this is understanding the science behind what you shared the A.R.E method has us do, right? And so you, in the A.R.E examples you gave some things about what to do. And what I'm talking about is what's actually happening when we're doing that. We're shifting our energy in our brain from our fear-based thinking, which is where now that worry, something hasn't happened, so it's not there. You're not about to get attacked. You're not getting bit. Your mom is not in this state of peril at the moment. But what's happening physiologically when you're thinking about that is that you're utilizing parts of your brain that actually doesn't have you thinking, problem solving, taking action to do the very things that are going to prevent you from that thing you're worried about from happening. And so I just want to make sure that we stand on that, because that worry is always rooted in something that hasn't happened yet. And I like the way you address those things, where you acknowledge that in that reflection, that reality comes through, and that actually is what empowers you to reflect and engage and take that action.
It's so great, Abdul, because that is correct. So worries haven't happened. They're future based. And what does take over when a worry occurs is our fight or flight. And then we get all, antsy and what to do. And like for me, it almost becomes like I flight or whatever that would be, right? Where I all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you see, I shouldn't have gone. Oh, we shouldn't have done this. Oh no, this, right? And that's where I get stopped. So when that happens, I stop the action. And as we discussed in our previous OLEs, the first thing I do is take a deep breath. Because when you take a deep breath, all of a sudden you're calm right away, right? It's like, well, you have these thoughts, your thoughts are going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then when I realize, oh, look at me, I'm already projecting. I'm just projecting a worry. That's all I'm doing. So I stop the action. I take a deep breath. I blow it out slowly, and I start to think, okay, what's important here? I acknowledge, what is it that I'm worried about? And then once I find out what I'm worried about, then I can start to reflect on how to actually handle the worry. And that allows my brain to stay calm and to be calm and to actually then step into what's possible. Because when you're in that fight or flight, right, you're just going everywhere. And maybe you're trying all different kinds of things to sidestep it. And it's so funny. So I don't know really if this is something or not, but when I go away, I never worry about weather, ever.
Mm.
I just don't. I know I'm going to have good weather. And I have traveled a lot and have always had good weather. How come? Because I don't worry about it. The weather is going to be the way the weather is going to be. It's something that's totally out of my hands, isn't it? Yeah. So I just go and know we're going to have good weather. And then I'm on these trips and people are always like, can you believe this weather? This is the nicest weather that we've had in forever. And it's a funny, funny thing. But what I notice is people who happen to travel when maybe the weather is not so good, they actually say things like, oh my gosh, I hope it's not going to rain. Oh, I hope that I'm going to have good weather. They don't even say good weather. They always use the R word, rain. I
Rain,
hope it's not
exactly.
going to rain. I'm like, don't you hear when you say rain? All the universe can hear is rain. So anyway, it's a funny thing. And when you were speaking, I was just reminded of that because again, on this particular trip, the captain must have said like a half a dozen times, the seas were so calm. We had such an easy crossing. And the whole time, every time he's announcing it, I'm just laughing. And I'm like, of course we did. Because that's what I expected to have happen. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying like I'm woo-woo or anything like that, but I do believe that when I acknowledge, like, I don't worry about the weather. because the weather is what the weather is. I make sure I have the appropriate clothes. Do I have a long sleeve sweater? Do I have an umbrella? Do I have what I need? Oh, yes?
Mhm.
Okay. Then I don't have to worry. And that's what the A.R.E method actually takes care of. It takes care of that worry, that gnawing at you, the thing that's just in the background, right? And when you hear that little thing and you have that question, just stop the action and say, okay, what am I worried about? Oh, okay, I see. I'm worried, again, with my mom in this trip. My mom, we had to use a wheelchair. So what are we going to do? So first we called the company and they wanted like something like $381 to rent a wheelchair that we were going to have to give up on the last day of the cruise. And then I had 2 more days. So I was like, oh, that's not going to work. So I start to ask myself, okay, well, what is the worry? The worry is that my mom is not going to be able to get around. Okay, well, if my mom needs to get around, what can we do to make sure that that happens? Renting the wheelchair was one of them. I could have rented then a wheelchair from the hotel, but then I was looking at the cost and I'm like, wow, it's really getting up there, right? So I said, maybe we could get a wheelchair. I'm sure that there are wheelchairs that are easy to transport, foldable, and lo and behold, as I said, listen, the internet is at our fingertips. I went to Amazon. I typed in wheelchair. Boom. 3 days later, we had the greatest wheelchair at our house, right? Another thing taken care of off my plate. And that's how dealing and using the A.R.E method actually lets you go away worry free. Worries are going to come up. Don't kid yourself because that's how they are. They're inevitable. They're constantly coming at us. And our job is to just stop the worry. How do we do that? We stop the action. We take a deep breath. We acknowledge what we're worried about, and then we can reflect. Oh, we're worried about this. What do we want to have happen? We find a way to make that happen, and then we can engage. And I don't know if I had mentioned this, but in the engagement part, the most important thing is to visualize yourself. So there I was, visualizing myself with my mom. And let me tell you, I thought we were 6 days on the water. I was 100% sure we're going to do all these activities and we're going to go to bingo and deal or no deal and the art class. Guess what? We didn't do anything. We sat at the pool and crocheted for 6 days, chatting with people, and we just had such a great time because I wasn't worried. It wasn't important. Oh, my mom doesn't want to go to these activities. Okay, we'll just sit here, right? That's how the A.R.E method really does come up all day long. And it's so fast. It's such a quick um, exercise to take on when a worry occurs. And like I said, they don't even have to be big worries, just
Mhm.
little worries. By the end of the trip, my mom was actually able to use the wheelchair and push it and walk and get herself places all by herself. And that wasn't going to happen if I was sitting, oh, how are we going to get her? How are we going to worry? Oh, it's such a big to do. No, it's not a big to do.
Mhm.
It's just things that have to be worked through. And I think that that's what we forget, Abdul, that sometimes we just have to work through the process to figure out what is it that we really want, and then how can we get that?
So this is great and always inspiring to hear your stories and your commitment to just take action and do what is needed to work through worry and stress and you know just really want to resonate the message that you're passing. Everyone has the ability to address any worry and stress in the world and it's really something that is super simple. It may not be so easy, but it is really super simple. And this methodology is something that you can use, whether it's a big worry or whether it's these tiny worries that may nag at you in the background of the day. And everyone has different worries. And you got a certain life with your family, your mom, You have different challenges. Everyone has different challenges and things that they worry. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing the different things that you worry about, especially when it comes to travel for you. And hopefully some people can see that those things can help them. But what's most important is that no matter what the worry or stress was, you always took that pause. You rooted yourself in that mindset that you do have the ability to overcome it, understanding that worry is something that happened in the future. There's no fear, and you have everything it takes to take some simple steps in order to reduce that worry and stress. And we also have available to us, of course, our partners that, as Ricky is one of them, as you can tell, who is highly skilled at being able to articulate and help and help people work through any worry or stress. Today was about travel, and we focus on the top 10 things that people stress about. We've got a course that delves deeper into the A.R.E methodology. We also have one-on-one coaching and training to address any of the things that you may be worried, stressed, or anxious about. And we've got upcoming retreats where you can immerse yourself in some of the modalities, the resources, and the tools that we have available to help you every day reduce worry and enjoy life more. Thank you again for joining us for this O.L.E. Any parting words, Ricky, as we get prepared for our upcoming next O.L.E, which is about safety? I know I got that mixed up a little bit earlier, but the next O.L.E is about safety, and that's coming up on June 26th at 11 o'clock, right? June 26th, 11 o'clock. That O.L.E is about safety. And anything else you want to share as we wrap up today?
I did just want to share one more thing because I kind of stepped over it a little bit earlier. So one of the things that Abdul, and so Abdul, I'm going to just share this about you. So one of the things that Abdul had shared with me when we started looking at travel as our O.L.E was that he's not really proficient at making the reservations, and he's not really proficient at figuring out all of these little pieces and the little nuances. And so what he did was he stopped, he saw, oh, look, I'm worried about this trip. I don't really know what to do, but I happen to be married to someone who does. And then he was able to hand off the whole kit and caboodle to her, so that this way, all of his travel gets arranged by someone else. In this particular instance, it's his wife. And I didn't want to step over that because I know that I shared a lot about the things that I did. And I shared a lot about even like giving my mom some little jobs. But you could hear that it still all fell on me. And I just wanted to point out and not step over that we all have talents in one area or another. And you want to utilize your people because your people are the things that are going to help you worry less and enjoy life more.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, without her, I love travel. And it's one of the things that is part of our lifestyle, and traveling internationally and experiencing culture and things like that. And just my wiring and what, as Ricky mentioned, what I actually am passionate about is not checking and researching and figuring out what's there. I know what I want to do there. I know I want to eat these kinds of foods, and I'll give my list and I'll come up with all kinds of things in my mind. But as far as making it happen, finding it, identifying it, getting the best prices for it, organizing it, remembering all of the things you have to remember. Oh, yeah, you got to get transportation from his place. If it was left to me, I'd be stranded out there. I wouldn't know whatever, whatever. And yeah, it used to suck because then I'm like, I know I want to travel all the time, but this is really a huge burden on me to do so. And so, yeah, it was something that, I had to reflect on. I had to take ownership of who I am, my strengths and weaknesses, and what I can bring to the table. And yeah, like one of the things that you can do is just acknowledge and take some self-reflection, take ownership, and provide value in other ways, and enroll people in your vision or your dream of what that is. And so even though we talk about different things you have to do, you don't have to do it all yourself. As Ricky said, you can just simply outsource it, and that reduces a whole lot of worry and stress, and you get to have just an amazing time and show up and bring your vibrant talent and energy to the table.
Yep. It's so great. We always want to rely on the people that are in our lives and experts, which is why I keep bringing up the internet, because today everything is out there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Well,
So
thank you for joining us. And please check out our website, www.whyworryworld.com. Check out our course, check out our past OLEs, and make sure you tune in for our next OLE, June 26th, and it'll be all about safety.
at 11 a.m. We'll see you then. And until then, worry less and enjoy life
Enjoy
more.
life more. Take care.
Bye.
All right. We did it.
We did. We want to